Welcome to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo, Dr. Shirley and medium Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world. This is Both Sides Now.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Both Sides Now. I'm Dr. Shirley.
And hi, I am spiritual medium Kelly White. And tonight we have John Williams with us. Hi, John.
Yay, John.
Hello, ladies. How's it going?
It's going well. And I'm just going to describe, because, of course, my left brain goes a little nuts. When I got on, I noticed, well, you guys noticed the background you chose, John, for this show, which is blue and like orange. Right. Kelly is wearing a blue shirt, and I show up in a yellow shirt, and it was, and I haven't worn this shirt. I've only worn it once since I got it last year. And I just thought, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to wear that shirt. It was so weird.
Well, as James says, I'm Mr. Psychic.
It's true, John. It's very true.
You knew what we were going to wear, and you thought, you know what? I'm going to freak them out, or at least freak Cheryl's brain out and put it in the background.
Oh, my gosh.
So funny.
Well,
wow. We're in sync tonight, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that
Definitely.
we're all in sync.
And we've got those planets in the background, because how many planets are in retrograde, Kelly?
6, and going tomorrow. We're going to talk about that once we get our guest on. But we have a lot of planets in retrograde amongst other issues.
Yes.
Yeah,
I am super happy to announce that we are officially sponsored, and we have our wonderful sponsor that's going to join us at the end of the show, and her name is Shauna, and she's with the Crystal Shrine. So
such a beautiful shop. Oh my God.
It's my
favorite.
feel
the energy in there.
One of those crystals right there.
I do. I do. And our guest has the matching one.
You showed us that one last week, I think, didn't you? It's so beautiful.
I did. I love this one. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So,
why don't you introduce our guest, Kelly, because I am so thrilled that he's here with us today.
I am too. So I'm so honored to have our guest on tonight. Our guest, Mr. James Van Praagh, is my dearest friend. And if it were not for James, I wouldn't be here. And James is...
Nor would I.
James is, in my true opinion, the best medium that has lived. And I really believe that, James. And if it were not for you, I mean it. If it wasn't for you, I want all these mediums out there to know, none of us would be doing this. It was you, James.
Thank you.
You're the one that kicked that damn door open and kept it open and kept kicking and talking about mediumship. And you also have been working tirelessly
it's very true.
Well, it's true, to expel love versus fear. And really to work on fear, which has been an extraordinary gift. You've probably freed millions of souls in this dimension for doing your work. And I just honor you so much with everything that you've done. My God.
Well, you were the pioneer. I mean, the Ghost Whisperer was you.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
I mean, it was your idea, but it was.
I really came up with the idea and a lot of the characters and storylines, and I never got the created by credit because I didn't write the script, the pilot script, which I didn't know that. So I should have, but I didn't. But whatever, it's fine. It was made, and that's the important thing.
But that was in the 90s. I mean, that really opened it up for everybody to start to pay attention and for it to be more of mainstream as opposed to like this, taboo thing that everybody was so embarrassed to admit if they went to a medium.
Yeah, it was actually the 2000s Ghost Whisperer, but the 90s was a John Edwards show crossing over my show Beyond. And I think those two shows really, and Lisa Williams' show before that, opened up that subject to the general public. And before that, and Kelly knows this person we're talking about, her name is Lori. And we met after one of your shows, Kelly, in the party room, I guess John would say. And Lori said, James, we know each other from the other side back in 1991 or something. She was a producer. She went on my very first cruise with me. She told me, the Intuition Cruise. So she's great.
This was only like 2 weeks ago we discovered this on one of your events.
Wow.
It was shocking. Yeah. I mean, we really this goes way back, but that you had the courage, Jane, always just blew me away that you had the courage to do this.
It for me, and like I'm sure a lot of people who do different things, to me it was just I had no choice. I had to do it. It was kind of natural, I guess you would say. It was like no choice. You got to do this. So, because you know what happened? The very first reading I did, the love that came through, that energy was so strong. And I thought, wow, if the rest of the world could feel this, it would be a better place. And I'm going to make sure people know about it. So that was why I did that.
That is, I mean, and that's beautiful. That's exactly what I saw when I started first working with Kelly. The healing. And we're in this profession because we do care. And the healing was just so profound that I thought, I can't, this has to be out there. And I'm happy to be a part of it.
And I was going to study be a psychotherapist before mediumship. So there you go, full circle.
Wow.
Full
yeah.
circle.
Well, they're so connected, I think.
They are. And we're many hats we wear. The human animal
do.
is, all those
We
things.
do.
Yeah,
We do.
yeah. And the fact that we happen to be on Earth, like you always say, James, for souls having a human experience, we have to deal with the experiences we've had on Earth from,
Yes, we have to.
the trauma based. We have to. We
Yeah.
can't not work through those in addition to having the spiritual.
It's how we learn. It's how
Yeah.
you learn. Otherwise, you wouldn't learn.
Yeah.
And right now, it's a good segue into the planets right now.
The clusterfuck? Is that a good segment into that?
Yeah, because
Please tell
talk
us,
about
Kel.
learning. So everybody must have felt the energies. And James, I have to say, over that solar eclipse, you did a fantastic meditation.
It was
Oh
great.
my gosh. Anybody can find it if you go back and review on Soul Care. It was just great on Sunday. It was just
Thank you, yeah.
fabulous.
It was
It
fun.
really
It was
it
good.
knocked me out, actually. It actually
Me
knocked
too.
me
For
out.
2 hours, I was just had to lay down. I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Spaced
And those
out.
Wow.
energies were so intense. So we have that solar eclipse that was very intense. It's life changing. It's going to change everybody's life. But tomorrow we
Hold
have,
on.
hold on, put your seatbelt on and really, really, really brace yourself because Neptune goes retrograde tomorrow in its own home of Pisces. So when Neptune goes retrograde in Pisces, it doesn't go direct until November 28th. And I was telling James today that when you did Soul Care this afternoon and you were talking about surrender,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about because the actual word for this Mercury, this retrograde in Neptune is surrender. So we hadn't discussed this, but that is exactly the term. And this is about the truth of your reality. It's looking at your reality. Are you addicted to drugs? Are you addicted to alcohol? Are gambling, porn? What escape have you had? It's actually going back, slowing it down so much that you'll have to deal with your own issues, whatever those issues are. But it's about dissolving your ego so you can be one with the source. And that's where we find ourselves. When Neptune is retrograde, it means to go within. And so what we've been talking about is everybody's going to go within. It's going to bring a lot of dreams. Pay attention to those dreams.
Wow.
And what it's going to do is it disintegrates the structures that have been defining your identity.
I got to write all this down. Okay.
Disintegrates the
Interesting.
structures, that have
Wow.
been defining your identity.
Wow.
So however you've identified as, whatever archetype
I
you've
don't
been
know.
working through, well,
I used
that's
to say
just it.
kind of a human, but I'm not that.
Well, everything is changing. I mean, talk about a time to really reassess, realign, refigure out who you are and where you want to be in this world. Because the day after that, Venus goes direct. So, John, that time, right now, we'll have 7 retrograde planets in retrograde, and then in another day, we'll have just 6. But Venus goes direct. The good news about that, and there is some good news there, it brings clarity, especially in relationships. So that's going to be help. But the last thing I'm going to talk about, because this is still going on, is June 28th. And that's when Mars enters Aries in his own home.
I was wondering
It's
about that.
6 months he lasts. Normally he's there 6 weeks. He's there 6 months. I say he because it's a very male energy and it's in his own house of Aries. This is really
War. It's
intense.
war.
Yes, that's correct. And so,
Really?
yes.
Yeah. Mars
that's-
Aries war.
And then actually I'll just finish with this. On the 29th and 30th of June, Jupiter conjuncts Pluto, which is a major influence. It will bring the virus back up. It'll bring all kinds of situations.
My sister's birthday. Okay.
Oh, well, hi, Mara. It's
Hi,
gonna-
Mara.
The other one, Lynn.
it's- Oh,
Lynn.
oh,
It's Lynn. Yeah.
oh, well, hold
29.
it. Well, dear God.
Seatbelt.
It's gonna be another, we've got several months of a very intense time. And this next 2 weeks really ushers in the energy. And then we have another eclipse on July 5th. So a lot of energy that we'll be talking about. And I thought today what we would talk about, frankly, is how to cope in these challenging times, because we've got some challenging times ahead. And James, you talked about surrender.
I did. When you were talking about that, the challenging times we've had, the image I got really quickly, and it's so bizarre that this came to my head, was those the flat icebergs, the penguins would jump from one to the other because things were moving so quickly and they couldn't find stabilization. That's the feeling I got, the image I got when you were talking about that, challenging times. People are jumping from one place to another place to try to find stability.
Well, here's another thing I'm going to add to that. When you were saying icicles, is that what you're saying?
Like icebergs.
like
those
iceberg.
flat-
So icebergs actually represent frozen emotion.
Oof.
So everybody will be dealing with their
Shirley, I
emotions.
can't anymore. I can't.
No, I
Poor
know.
James. He calls
Listen.
me and I'm like, oh no, you got to take care of this. And he's like, oh no, I can't anymore. But
Wow, really?
it's all emotion. Anytime anybody dreams of water, whether it's frozen, let's say it's frozen water, that means you're not dealing with your emotions. Guess what? It's coming up. You're going to be dealing with it. Anytime you dream of in the water, if you're in the water, if you're out in the ocean in the water in a dream, it's a deep feelings are going on. It doesn't mean you're going to drown. It may feel like you're going to drown you're going to be overwhelmed, but dreams tell us that. But water is a very key thing, and Neptune, it rules water.
Hey, you know what? I just want to jump in and just say something that came to my head. So people have to realize, or hopefully it'll help them, that when you go through the hardest things in life, your struggles, and it's really, really difficult, those are the lessons that you grow from the most.
Yeah.
Your soul grows from the most 'cause you're pushed to go deeper and to learn more and expand. So
Yeah.
that people should keep that in mind when they're having a hard time. It's not easy. School's not easy. Some lessons are really tough.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is the time where we all wanted to be here, as you have talked about and I've talked about. You wanted to be here, really wanted to be here because our soul's going to grow so quick, so intensely, and so good. So this is really good. All these experiences, when people say, "Oh, Kelly, you never say anything good," yeah, it's great for this growth of your soul. So it's going to be fantastic. In a few months, it's going to be everybody's going to look back and go, "Wow, I learned a lot during that period."
I think Shirley, you talked about that before the show. I think it was you. We talked about going through this stuff later on. Oh, it really worked out well. So,
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to keep in mind, kind of as the light at the end of the tunnel. It's not to minimize how difficult it is, because as you said, we're still feeling it, and those feelings are still very, very real. But to maybe have, in your mind, but I'm going to grow a lot, and I'm going to get to the other side, and I'll see how it grows. I mean, I've had people who, what brings them into therapy is like the worst,
yeah, of course.
the worst
Trauma.
tragedy, and all of a sudden, exactly, and all of a sudden up grows. I mean, I had a couple who, one found out the other was cheating on them, because when they called on the phone, the other woman answered, and now they're like this because they worked through. It was indicative of something already happening. One person, crossed the line and broke the boundaries, so you deal with that piece first. But it really opened them up to get out of kind of these parallel lives that they were living. So it does. It does bring, it can be so healing to, keep that in mind, although you're still feeling.
And I think also we have to remember the perspective of our higher self. I often say this. I don't know how accurate this is, but probably not the percentage. I often say, as a soul, 20% of your soul is in the physical body, but 80% is outside of the physical body. And I think there's something like that. The ratio might be off, but more of us are in that. Those are layers, if you will. And if we can bring that sense of a higher self down to the physical, the dense vibration, maybe look at it with a different perspective of the bigger picture, I think that would help as well.
Yeah. I think the big thing is just trust that whatever you're going through, there's a reason for, and that's not easy to say, particularly when people have lost a loved one, especially a child, which I can't even imagine the pain in that. But to trust that there's always a reason for everything, and you will find out what that reason is.
One day you will find out.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Hard at the moment to go through it. I remember I did a reading for a lady 30 years ago. She lost her son in a car accident, 21 years old. And she sat in the couch in front of me and she said, "I want to die. I just want to go. There's no reason for me to live anymore." And she was adamant about it. And I said, "No, Marie, he's saying you have to live. This is your agreement. And you're going to help people much later on, influencing them. People who've lost children, you're going to write a book or two." And he's telling me, well, sure enough, she did. She 20 years later, she is now the head of Compassionate Friends, an organization to help lost children and siblings. And she's written many books. She's head of the chapter now, the head of the national chapter. So, and she loves it. So
oh
you never
my
know
God!
At the time it happens.
I swear I have the chills. I don't know why that story gave me the chills, but yeah, it's a pain that I can't even begin to say. I imagine
it's the hardest lesson on the earth. I think it's the hardest lesson in the school is to lose a child, and I never have, but I brought through many thousands of readings probably with children.
Right.
But this is an interesting thing I'd love to mention. When I brought through a boy, Kelly, you know the story. I brought through a boy to his parents once at a demonstration, and the mother was very much in grief. It's been about 3-4 years, I think, and people grieve their own time, of course. But we were talking earlier before the connection about thoughts being things, and you've got to be very careful of the thoughts that you send into the universe, because the spirit can see those thoughts, and it has energy, it has a color, it's a vibration. And he said to his mother, "Mom, I've lived 23 years, a great life, and all you think of is the last day of my life. Why is that?" And then he said, "I died once. Don't make me die every day with your thoughts."
Oh, I remember that.
Remember that one?
Oh my God, yes.
At some
I
point,
was
but I had
there.
to say it. He had to say that to his mom and dad.
Yeah. I remember when you said that. It was so poignant, and it really brought. Oh, it was a heart. It was a
It's a hard one, but if you look at it,
tearjerker.
it makes sense though. If you
But
kind of.
But it
look at that.
does, because it's so, in order to shift that, you have to be very conscious and purposeful.
Yeah.
It doesn't just, you're not going to think differently just because that happens. It's the brain has that negativity bias and will always focus on the negative, because that's what kept the species alive. You had to remember the bad stuff so you wouldn't repeat it.
Right.
So that's such a clear and somewhat shocking message. And it has to be very purposeful. So when that thought comes into mind, to very consciously shift it to maybe the wonderful memories that she had with him. I mean, oh my God, I remember that
change
day.
whole body chemistry. I mean, it changes everything. Endorphins released, and and also I always say healing. The first step in healing is awareness. Being aware of what's going on.
Completely.
Right?
And then
Your
what
mom
happens
used
is,
to say, Kelly. Sorry, I was going to say, your mom used to say, awareness doesn't change anything, but it's the first step to change.
Ah, great.
It's the first step. And when you have that awareness, once that door opens of awareness, look at all the possibilities that could occur then.
Well, that's exactly what awareness brings, is more choices.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're on emotional autopilot and you don't even realize you have more choices, but that awareness brings up choices.
We were just talking about this before the show, and you said, "Can we talk about this in the show?" Well, if we get to it, yes, here it is. And awareness is expansion of ourselves, expansion of our experience.
Yeah.
And this is a period of time where we're going to have a lot of expansion. A lot of expansion here.
Every day.
Every day will bring some form of, pay attention to all things out there. Pay attention to totems. I always tell people, pay attention to totems, or something that you see. Today, Shirley and I were talking on the phone, and I saw a deer run right across my property just while I was talking to her. And a deer brings out a lot of clarity. It brings out a lot of light. It brings a lot of wisdom. It brings telling a story. It was very powerful. And then, James, I remember you and I once tell everybody the hawk story.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. That's
amazing.
That's one of the most amazing stories in my life. I was with Kelly and my roommate Ken in the backyard at a table, and we were sitting there, and we three of us just happened to look up the sky all at the same time, and right above our heads is the hawk flying right above.
Big hawk, but
hawk.
right above.
Right above. And as we're all looking at it, the beak opens up and a sparrow comes out of the mouth and flies the other way. And I said, Kelly, did you see that? And Kelly goes, totem.
Yeah. And
she was right. It's the male psychic. There's going to be changes.
Hawk is the male psychic. So just like an owl is the female psychic. But the hawk.
Ryan was bringing us sodas or drink, and he didn't see it. He turned and he left at the same time we looked up. And we ended up getting divorced after 23 years that following year.
Because I said, James, I'm telling you, this means something big.
Big changes.
And it meant that he was going to have his freedom. He was the sparrow.
There you go. True.
I guess you could see it that way. You were released. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah.
And then Kelly's mother has landed on my water fountain. I'm talking to Kelly, and a big crow is on the ledge of the water fountain. I'm like, what?
And he has a picture of it, just stood there and just hawk in the water fountain.
The water fountain.
Wow. My mom comes as a crow. My mother was from Crow County.
So let me tell you this.
Figure.
Remember, Kelly, last weekend, to get out, I drive on Mulholland.
Oh, Sydney, James, this is really weird.
Sydney will ask me sometimes on the weekends, "What are you doing this weekend, Mom?" And I go, I'm going to drive up and down Mulholland like a crazy person. It's so peaceful. So Kel and I were talking, and so I pulled over one of the, over so you could see the city, and I'm in my car with the top down, and we're talking, and all of a sudden I hear, because I was on gravel, so I hear like someone stepping on gravel, and I'm thinking, is someone coming near me? So I look over. It wasn't someone. It was the biggest crow I have ever seen in my life.
I saw it, actually.
I go, Kel, I'm going to FaceTime you. So I did it, and I turned it around. It was so big, and it would just kept walking towards me.
Wow.
Oh,
And
my
you
mom
heard
was
the
trying to get her
gravel.
That was
attention.
Lou. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
No doubt.
And then wait a minute. And then a car spontaneously pulls up right next to me. Now remember, I'm on Mulholland in one of those outlook places
By herself.
by myself. Parks next to me, rolls down the window, and I'm thinking he wants directions or something. And he goes, "Whatever you're doing, do it. Don't think twice. You're going to soar. Just do it." And I went and I looked at him, and he didn't give me any kind of creepy vibe. I went like this to him. He rolls up his window, pulls back, and takes off. That was it.
And I said to Shirley, I heard that. Who is that? And all I could say, it was a message. It was a
Definitely
big one.
sent your
And it was
way.
right after the
Definitely.
crow. It was
Wow.
amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Change, major change. That happens. I mean, we have to be, like Kelly said, watch the signs. Look, be more aware of what's going on around you.
Yeah.
It's a good time to do that.
And I think it helps. Again, it's not about ignoring if you're going through something difficult, because I always say the feeling's already there.
Yeah.
So notice it. Suppressing it, ignoring it is not going to make it go away.
Suppress it. Oof, no good.
However, you can also know that it's time for change, time for evolving, time for working through stuff, Yeah.
And
There
people
is
get
a
anxious
season.
with that.
Turn.
There is.
Turn. I was singing that last night. There is a season. Yeah.
And people get
anxious.
scared. They get anxious about that, Shirley.
Yeah.
They get really anxious about wanting, knowing that they have to make a change.
I
And
have
then
the answer for that.
I knew you would.
Good.
Let's go.
What is the answer?
Well, what it is it's control. So people are afraid of giving up control, even though they don't have control to begin with, because you can't control another person. You really can't control a situation. All you can control is how you deal with it, receive it. What are you going to do with the information? You
How do
can't
you
change
react?
people. Yeah, so you don't have control. No one has control.
Yeah.
People freak when I say that. But it's true. We don't have control. We just do the best we can do, and we do it in a loving way, and love each other, and do the best we can for each other. That's all we can do. And have a good insights to life and the golden rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think, understand that the brain likes what's familiar. Familiarity feels safe to the brain. So that's why many times unknowingly we recreate a chaotic environment if we came from chaos, because the brain feels safer in familiarity, even if it's not something that's the best for you.
Well,
So,
can I answer a question, please, Shirley? I grew up in a chaotic home. It was my mother's an alcoholic, and the house was a disaster. Like clothes on the basement floor all the time, and I couldn't bring friends over. And my house I have now is very neat, and I'm not a neat freak, but everything has a place, and I like to look at things, so I don't do pack rat. Is that maybe because of that childhood, or?
well, it could be. Sometimes we know what we don't like, and so we'll do the exact opposite. It's more kind of maybe the energy of the environment.
I see.
Or being with someone that we can't fully trust, or being, and that could have been maybe your earlier relationships and not so much, because Brian, 23 years, that's a long time. It's unfortunate that it ended, but that doesn't strike me as you chose
There's a
someone that you
season,
couldn't
reason, or
trust.
lifetime.
Right.
Souls come together for a season, reason, or lifetime.
Exactly. But many times it's the energy of the environment and not specific things necessarily.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me, everybody, what are some ideas about
getting
how to
to these
cope?
retrogrades? How to
Well,
cope.
yeah, how to cope during this time.
Surrender.
James, and you talked about surrender. Tell us about that.
To me, surrender is a non-resistance. So when we resist something, we block it. We put a wall up, and that's not good because it's going to come at us. So surrender is letting go peacefully, just letting it happen, experience it. And that's really what we can do, is letting go. And to me, there are many different ways to do this. The thing that works for me really well is just go with, two things. The first thing would be I stop. I call the pause button. And I pause, and I become aware of 3 different breaths I have, and I'm aware of what's going on at the time, how I'm feeling about it. What does this look like? How am I in relationship to what's going on? How it's going to affect me, the world? And that goes to my old mantra: it is what it is, and that's all that it is. Right. And the other thing I do is the breath. So I'll just breathe it in and breathe in the body, to bring the breath all the way through the body, and exhale, letting go of anxiety and fear and the not knowingness, which a lot of people have trouble with. Right. You know yourself, you know who you are. Right. Tomorrow will be different, but you know who you are. So change is good. We change every day. Cells die and born every day. So it's part of our process.
I think along with that, James, is, surrender doesn't mean hopeless to or helpless to what you're in front. It's acceptance. It's accepting what's happening. You don't have to like it, but if you're not accepting what's already happening, it's like you're adding, kind of fighting with with the energies or with yourself.
And we talked about this before the show. It's empowering yourself, really. It really is
Absolutely.
empowerment.
Oh, acceptance of what's happening is empowering.
Right.
It's not giving up, and it's not
Right.
hopeless. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Where do you guys feel that forgiveness comes in?
Just thinking about that one.
Gee, what a surprise. The two mediums are thinking the same thing.
Can't take it.
I love it. I wish I
Shirley,
was,
please, you first.
I wish I was a part of that. Well, so many people think, like we were talking a little bit ago, that forgiveness is saying it's okay to whomever did whatever they did, or saying it's, and it's not that at all. You're doing it for yourself, to free yourself. I mean, they're going to have their own karma and their own stuff to deal with. And especially, I've learned that so beautifully from both of you. It's not okaying what someone did. It's forgiving, so you're not carrying that weight with you.
And and I'm going to say, Kelly taught me this one, which is like it freed up my life in so many ways. When we sat in New York,
I know exactly what you're
and we
going to say.
we talked about this on the show before, but it was a certain person that was behaving a certain way for many, many years. And I said, Kelly, do you believe this? And she goes, oh yeah, I see it. But he's a great guy, whatever. But you have to accept him for where he's at. You can't have unrealistic expectations. Accept him, and where he's at, it's great.
And what I said was he was limited.
Limited. You did that. Opened the doors.
Yeah.
And
I
now
mean, people are limited. They don't have to be, but if you're with somebody who, pay attention, are they growing with you? Are they changing? Are you able to communicate with them? Or are they really limited and stuck in their cockamamie, as my grandmother used to say, belief structure? And that could be.
I just went through it, and we went to therapy and everything, and I, certain things that Brian was into was a regimentation, a square box, security was the main thing, and I'm quite the opposite. I'm like, I'll get through it. It doesn't, I like to roam. But I traveled so many years, and I'm a gypsy soul. So
Yeah. But that is so true. I ask so many times, why are you expecting someone to behave differently than what they've shown you?
Oh, it's a great one.
For years.
So true.
Why not expect them to behave exactly the way they've shown you who they are? Not that we can't expect people to change, but
and love them for who they are, where they're at. You got to love them for where they're at.
Yeah, and make your own. Then set your own boundaries, even if it's a parent. I was hoping that my mom would do this. Well, why are you expecting her to be any different? If
we
you
can't
accept
judge
her,
others, we can't judge a person because they don't know any better. It's like our president. But I finally have come out and started talking about him lately. But of course, people are pissed and angry. The whole thing. I went through that whole emotional train ride. But lately, I've thought of that. He's on a certain level of awareness, and he's doing the best he can with what he knows. And there's some mental disorders too, obviously. But he's doing with what he knows, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's just it. We have someone who is mentally ill.
Yeah.
And mental illness, a personality disorder, which is a disorder of character, and it can't be changed.
But first, you have to have
no
a
awareness. Well, yes.
And
So yeah, I mean,
Mavis Patilla talked. You and I were in New York, James, and we were asking her what causes something like sociopath or psychopath or anything like that, personality disorder. And she said, well, the soul doesn't necessarily come in to connect all the way.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I think that's accurate because there's no soul. If there was a soul there, how could you behave in a certain way?
Is it also true though that the soul can, like, if there's a traumatic experience and like child abuse, the part of the soul can leave and never come back?
Absolutely.
It's not fully integrated.
Well, that's so interesting that you say that, in combining the two, because personality disorders, it's really trauma from 0 to 2. So it's pre-verbal trauma, which is why there's no awareness to it.
Wow.
And so it is. And with no awareness, how can someone change if they're not aware of anything?
Yes, and to me, it's a sad thing, but it's also sad because the people all around him aren't doing anything. It's like it's their fault.
They can't. They can't, because if I don't think that I'm doing anything wrong and I've got the power to fire you, then I'll just do that.
Someone mentioned the other day that he's a real show reality guy. That's really a businessman, and that's true. That's what he is.
Yeah,
that's what he is. He's nothing else but that. That's fine, but interesting times.
On top of everything else, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wake
Well,
up every morning and I just say, okay, let's see what changes are ahead today because it's been a
Yeah.
real ride. And I wonder
Yeah.
what something new can be or something.
Yeah.
Shirley got to tell you this story. It's so funny. Typical of what's been going on. I'm sure a lot of the people that are watching this can share many electronic things. But for 2 days, my garage door would not open. My roommate Ken tried it. I tried it in the car, outside the car, 3 days. So I called the garage mechanic guy. He comes to the house, comes to the garage, presses a button, and it works just fine. What? What? And he goes, well, I'm known for that, but can you stand next to my computer, please? Because I'm having trouble. It's all
Well,
about electrical energy, right, Kelly,
Yeah.
with the
I was
retrograde.
just going to say that.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. Don and I had a situation where I was about to take a shower and I turned on, what I thought was I turned on all the lights and no light went on except for the shower light. Now everything's all connected and it's all with Don's studio. So it made no sense. So I said, I'm going, honey, there's no lights. And he's like, that's impossible. And I go, I'm telling you, there's no lights. Come. So he comes down. He goes, "Oh boy, how'd you do that? Go ground yourself. What's going on here?" So James, what happens is in our line of work, and there's a lot of energy that pumps through.
Yes.
And when this happens, I mean, the best thing we can do is you step out in your garden. I'll step out
And
and watch my
ground.
cows and get all grounded.
Yeah.
Wow.
I water the
it's
garden when that happens. I'm always watering. That's grounding
right.
for me.
It's
It's my
grounding.
meditation.
Take
Yeah.
your shoes off. Anybody that this happens to with energy, because it's our energy is pumping through. We almost you can't control it. That's something you can't control.
So it'll cause
No.
things to malfunction because of
Mhm.
the
Like a
too much
kinetic
energy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
Definitely.
kinetic. And I used to have a kinetic
that's
problem
crazy.
with energy.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean,
Wow.
remember the movie Firestarter? Yeah, that was a situation I had for a long time. If I was upset, it would it was awful. So
Wow.
anyway, it doesn't happen anymore. But yeah, the James, that was a garage
Yeah,
situation.
Kelly, I tell people in my school that and then I say that you have to ground, you got to ground, you got to really be there, and a technique which I just recently they gave me was for people that can't meditate or think they can meditate or the time, think of yourself when you're grounding, think of yourself as a tree. That's all you got to do. A tree. What tree are you?
Mhm.
Put the roots down
Yeah.
and the branches up to the sun, the golden light come inside, and that's it.
Boy,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
fast
And
one.
and that's a really nice resource that we talk about in somatic experiencing is grounding yourself. And it could be just like what you said, imagining, the roots of a tree or just noticing your feet.
Yes. Yeah.
That's how I connected myself to my body is I put a post-it that just said feet on it. And so it would remind me to notice
Feet
my
on
feet.
it. It's great.
And so then I started to connect. And I think that's a wonderful also to talk about resources, when everything feels so overwhelming, especially during this time. In somatic experiencing, we use a resource. So anything that you can think of to bring to your mind that immediately puts a smile on your face. So for most people, it's their pet or their
Mm,
child.
mm.
Or even a color or a place that you had a good experience with. So there's an association there. And so if you think of something like that, all of a sudden you'll notice your body kind of relaxes,
Mm.
and your facial muscles kind of relax as well. And it's because the primitive part of the brain, which is the part of the brain that deals with our automatic, heartbeat, breathing, doesn't know the difference between real or imagined.
Really?
So, yeah. So when we imagine something to the brain, it's either really happening or, it's really in front of us, and then your body will respond to it. So that helps when things feel so overwhelming to just bring to mind something that immediately brings a smile to your face.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Explain to everybody what somatic experience therapy actually is.
Oh yeah.
Well, Peter Levine created it, and he used just a whole bunch of different modalities. He actually wondered why animals in the wild don't get traumatized, because if you view an animal that gets caught and then all of a sudden gets away, eventually goes back to the herd, and they're not, doing this, because they couldn't survive if they were all hypervigilant. So he observed what they did, and after they escape, once they feel safe, the body automatically kind of shakes that energy of the fight or flight off, and you really see the muscles and the body shaking. And we have the same capacity, we just don't do it. So whenever we get shocked, whether it's a car accident or trauma or something, we do this, and that energy stays stuck in the body. And too many of those, or a lot of that, all of a sudden you're walking around in an altered state, in a bracing
To
state.
survive, right? To survive, basically.
Because your body didn't get to complete that and discharge that energy. So
Wow.
it starts to kind of get layered. I remember this one gal whose mother was a big drug addict and was not safe from the moment she came out. Her feet her toes were permanently like this, and it was a bracing response.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he created this therapy so it releases the trauma from the body, because that's where it gets stored.
Wow.
So somebody might walk in like this, and I'll notice their shoulders. I'll exaggerating, and then we do some work, and then all of a sudden I notice their shoulders start to relax. There's people that walk around with it inverted, with the shoulders
Sure.
in, and they're protecting their heart.
Yeah.
So you work with the body. The narrative isn't as important as what you're noticing is happening, and their body guides me on where to go.
It's funny, when I used to be a massage therapist for many years, and I loved it. That's before I did psychic readings, and I'd actually read them psychically with the energy was stuck in the body. And I'd say, "Oh, you have a problem over here, or a problem over here." Yes, how'd you know? I just felt the energy there. And really, when I do a psychic exercise where I have people scan the other person's body and feel where there's a densest energy, and it ends up being some traumatic experience from their childhood or early adulthood, and it's still in the body, as you're saying.
Yeah.
Do you ever, when you're doing readings, James, or do you ever notice how you feel in your body? Because sometimes,
Yes.
if I
Yes.
was doing a reading today and I felt, God, what is that feeling in my heart and my center? And it was somebody who had passed of a heart attack, but had felt really sad and depressed, and I
Wow.
felt it. I mean, this has happened for me forever. You too?
Clairsentient, sure,
Yeah.
clairsentient. Yeah, yes, but that has changed though, Kelly, as I've developed more and more. I got to tell you that the objective part of me, I get very objective. So I'm looking at it as more like, I'd say, like a surgeon who's going to operate, and I look at it that way, and I don't take it on. I'm aware of it, but I don't have to let it come that close. But I've had those experiences, especially when emotional things come through, like
Yeah.
that. Really, I feel the emotions very strongly, love or sadness or forgiveness. I feel the emotions.
Yeah. Well, you can be resonating with someone. When I'm working with someone, all of a sudden I'll notice a tightening in my stomach. So I'll ask them, "Are you noticing a tightening in your stomach?" to see if I'm resonating with them, or is it just me?
Great.
And a lot of times it is what they're feeling, but because we're not trained to really notice what we're, the sensations, that they're not, aware of it. Or I'll notice tingling down my legs, and that's usually nervous system releasing.
How many years have I known you, Shirley?
Oh my gosh.
Long time, many years.
I remember.
And you're still the same. You're a psychic. You're a Pisces, for God's sake. Of course you're going to feel.
You told me that the first time I met you.
Yeah.
Kelly, what is it? I tagged along with Kelly on 1 week with you in Laguna.
Laguna Beach, yep.
That was so fun.
And I remember you pulled me aside and you told me that, and of course my left brain just couldn't hear it at the time, and I'm like, yeah. And I just couldn't. Yeah.
You always say, but you feel, you're such a sensitive. You're sensitive. That's who you are, Pisces, and it makes your therapy work better. Of course, it really helps because you feel at such deep levels. It's very good.
I do feel it's hard when someone tells me, when you think you've heard it all, and they tell me their childhood experience or something, and it just.
So I have a question for both of you, because maybe it's different. So when you have that experience and you feel it so strongly, let's say for the heck of it, a suicide, right? And they come to your therapy for that, and Kelly also. Do you both feel it? Does it depend on the person, Shirley? And how does it work for both of you? I'm just curious.
For me, I get a hit on it right away, of what happened.
Do you feel that
I don't feel it. I mean, I guess I'm clairsentient. It's more of a knowing that comes right in, and I'll hear, I'm sorry, this is what happened. And then I'll feel a tightening in my body, even thinking about it, because I seem to specialize in people who have lost loved ones by suicide.
And do you ever get visuals at the same time?
I
depending
do.
Upon depending how the spirit communicates? Okay.
I do. It all depends on what they want me to see and what I can see and what I want to see. And sometimes it's and how to show it. And always I come from the greatest of compassion when I have that. I've had many children that have crossed over from suicide, children. And the first time that happened to me, I was in great shock. And let me tell you how the spirit came to me. He was 8 years old. He had hung himself at 8 years old. And I'll tell you what happened. Sorry, I should have prepared everybody. I'm so sorry. And I'll tell you what he did. He showed me a picture with his father fishing. They were fishing. And he showed me a picture, and he said, he told me, he said there was, he had a really rough childhood, but this was his happiest memory. So I opened the door with that. and then we
Okay.
went into everything. So yeah, but I mean, Shirley, how do you handle it?
Yeah, how do you handle it, Shirley? And is every time different or
She
the
sends them
same?
to me.
Well, yeah, I
But
sent
you're
them
such
to.
a sensitive. Do you feel them all the time, or and
Well,
do you keep that objectivity, or is it hard for you?
what I feel is I feel the pain of the
Mm,
person as to why they committed suicide, because I've been there and I know what that pain feels like,
mhm,
and
mhm.
feels so insurmountable that you really feel like that's your only way out.
Mm.
And so when I hear about someone who had committed suicide, it's almost like for a second I tune in to how much pain they must have felt in order to do that.
Oh,
And that's
Yeah,
the piece. And sometimes it feels debilitating. It feels so
yeah.
overwhelming because I know what that feels like.
I had that feeling once, and I was at a parking lot, and it was going to be the end of it because I didn't know where to go. I didn't know there was no other solution
Yeah.
because you're so caught up in the emotion of the time and the moment. It's a hard one. It's interesting.
Yeah, I really caution people not to judge the person, because it's in that moment you really don't have the wherewithal to
Yeah.
think. You're
what I have found about
painless.
that, though, Shirley, it's
Mm.
really interesting how often spirit will intervene and changes the brain chemistry of that person. In other words, all of a sudden, if you can get them off that track by, oh, look at the bunny, and they can change, and then they kind of come out of this stupor. Sometimes that can happen.
Yeah,
I've
yeah. Well,
seen it many
because you
times.
become kind of
Mhm,
just focused on the
mhm,
pain, and so you need, as you said, someone to help pull you out
mhm.
just a little bit so you can, yeah,
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 It's like the mindset that you have, that
exactly.
mindset. And when
yeah,
you're passed over with suicide, everyone always asks, "What about suicides?" Well, it depends on what was the suicide about. Was it someone who was a healthy brain? Was it someone who just had a breakup or something, or
Mhm.
or
mhm.
did they have disorder? So they're always very different. It's the intention behind it, I think, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're received
absolutely.
differently in the spirit world. There are those that go. This is interesting too. Many of them who receive them, besides their family and loved ones, are those who went through a suicide. So they can,
Yeah.
because they can relate to this newly arrived soul and what they have to go through in the mindset. See,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
interesting.
Right.
Yeah,
So
Wow.
interesting.
absolutely. Absolutely. The
Yeah.
the difficult ones is when they tell me about childhood trauma, because that's another thing that I can tune into and I can feel, and that one really gets me. And I investigated child abuse for 10 years. And
Child abuse,
so,
yes,
yeah. So
that's a
every
hard
time I
one.
thought I had heard, then I'd hear a new story, and it's, yeah. So that I feel it, and I have to really shift myself out of it, you know,
Mm.
very
Yeah.
purposefully, because otherwise
Very interesting. Very
get,
Wow.
interesting.
yeah, locked
Wow.
into that overwhelming pain. But
Wow.
I think John is telling us that there are people on the phone, and I'm sure that they would
We
love
could
to
just talk
connect with you
forever.
guys. I know,
I know.
right?
We
But
Yeah,
forgot.
I'm
I
looking
don't
at the
want to
clock. It's
deprive
like,
them of having, a wonderful reading, and of course me of watching it, because I get so fascinated.
we have 40 minutes into the show. We've got several people that are calling in. We've got comments all over the place, and we've got a sponsor to get to too. So yeah, I
That's
can't believe
right.
how quickly the show is flying by. So let's get to the callers then. First caller is calling in from, let's see, from looks like Montana, I believe. Area code 406. You are on the air with us. Can we have your name, please, and
And,
where you're calling
and
from?
your birth date too, John.
June Hawk. I'm calling from Montana.
And your
My
birthday?
birth date 11/2/53.
Well, I like your last name. We were just talking about hawks.
That's funny.
Yeah.
We were literally just talking about that. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm not sure what your question is, but I have a feeling it has to do with self-worth.
Well, it has to do with I
You
hurt my
seem
back
sad.
almost 24 years ago in about a week, and I've been through all kinds of. Oh, I can't hear you. Sorry, can't hear.
No, we're
still
here.
Okay. And I've been through all kinds of injections, everything. I'm on pain medicine, and I'm just wondering, is this it's getting worse and worse. I can't stand very long or sit up straight very long. Is this something I'm going to have to just accept, or do you see anything that's
No, I mean, we were talking about somatic experience, actually. Shirley, this might be a case for that. It's a possibility where
Well, I
trauma
think
is
it's
stuck in the
important.
body.
Yeah, I think it's important to rule out, of course, anything medical, but also if you go to a somatic experiencing therapist, they can help you maybe if your body's holding on to something that has
Mhm.
nothing to do with your physical issues, then you can maybe subtract 20% of the pain if it comes from an unhealed wound from trauma. And so it's certainly worth exploring that.
And the back is holding up everything.
I was going to say, Kelly, the back is support. The support. When you were a young girl, can you remember that there was a time where you weren't being heard, or that you kept things very quiet and secret, and that might have hurt you later on, or to your parents, or do you remember that?
I was a middle child. I'm a middle child, so there was a lot of.
Because the Scorpio is a very sensitive sign, right? The one with sensitive signs, and the feeling I got was it's from childhood, and it's not being heard, and not keeping your secrets to yourself, and not getting that sense of support that you need from your parents.
Yeah.
But you can also go in what Eckhart Tolle calls the pain body, which is a body which is like victim consciousness. It's a body of pain, and that'll be your life if you want it to be. But it's your choice. You don't have to have that. So you have to make that choice.
It's an archetype, no doubt.
A somatic therapist.
If you go to our website, John, it's on that, isn't it?
Yes, I do have it up there.
Okay. So both sides now TV, I think .com, right? Or .org.
And what is it called? The website called?
Somatic Experience. I think it's called Trauma
Healing. Trauma Healing Institute. Yes.
Trauma Healing Institute.
All the information there.
Yeah. Yeah. And put your city or your state, and then you'll see if there's practitioners. I remember I asked one time, I was with Peter, and I mentioned we were sitting down, and I said, God, my back is hurting. And he looks at me, he goes, well, everybody knows that's the mother. And I went, okay, I will take a look at that.
Wow.
So, and then it goes with support too. So I don't know if, that might be something to explore.
Well, I'm not, that's the thing. I'm not aware of any childhood, like young childhood stuff.
Can I ask you, are you overweight?
Yes.
Yes. So I think that's the main thing there, because it's holding on to something and you don't want to let it go. So it's holding on to that pain. So you gotta, if you want to release it, you can. You have to lose weight, get on a regimen, and go for it.
And now's the time to do it.
Now's the time. And what other people think of you is none of your business. So don't get caught up in other people's stuff. You are who you are, right? Yeah. That will help.
And thank you for calling in, caller. All right, we're moving on to our next caller from 317. 317 has a story about a totem.
Ooh.
That will help.
Hello.
Hi, you're on the air with us. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from?
Yes, my name is Mary Houghton, and I'm calling from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Hi, Mary. Can you go ahead and turn down your volume in the background? We're hearing something other than you.
Yes, hold on just a second.
Thank you. All right.
Indianapolis, Indiana.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, because you're on a bit of a delay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So you wanted to share with us about a story of a totem?
Yeah, when you were talking earlier about the hawk and all, I have I'll try to sum this up as much as I can, but my significant other passed away, February of 19. And I've lived in this house for 20 years, and I had this experience happen this last 3-4 months where I heard this loud noise. It sounded like a jackhammer, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And then finally, after, 3 months or so, it would be intermittent. I knew that it was a woodpecker on my chimney cap. So this went on for some time after that, and suddenly it struck me that it might be Alan. And so we had kind of a private joke about peckers.
We won't ask.
And so as soon as I had that realization or thought that it might be him, it never came back after that. That was the end of that. Well, so I was with some friends a few days ago telling them about this experience. We met in a park. We were social distancing. And so I was telling them about the woodpecker story. And we'd been there for a couple hours when we were talking. Suddenly, right after I'd said that, maybe 10 minutes, we heard a woodpecker. And then it happened again.
Wait, he's around you, that's for sure.
And Mary, I can actually add to that because I live on a farm in the middle of nowhere in the state of Wisconsin, and I have a picture of it, John. I've sent it to you. I'll have to put it up. A woodpecker showed up. It was red and white, had a red head, and it was half black and half white and had a red head. I didn't know what it was because I'm from Los Angeles. I'm from Beverly Hills. We don't have woodpeckers. And I had no idea, and it was a woodpecker. So what are the odds? And I have seen that woodpecker many times. Apparently, they only reveal themselves at certain times.
To certain
So
people.
thank you very much for sharing that, Mary. I appreciate that story. Woodpecker.
Thank you all. I'm really enjoying the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
calling
you.
in.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got several callers on the line. We have Shauna waiting to talk about the crystal shop that
I can't wait to talk. And also, James, Mediumship 2.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
You want to mention that really quick?
Sure. So I'm doing Mediumship 2, Level 2 Mediumship. It's a 6-month course, and there it is. Jump that up, and it's a graduate program. I put you on the website. There's a lot to it. There's many detailed. I mean, you go on the website to look at all the different things. It's incredible. We have development circles, and we coordinate them. We have phone calls with me, and if you're interested and you've had some experience with mediumship, please look into it.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah. And he's got all kinds of classes also.
Yeah, 42 different courses. 42 different ones. Yeah.
Wow.
Short one, weekend, one day.
A keyword search so you can find the course that's right for your soul. So just go to the JVP School of Mystical Arts, type in the keyword that you're looking for. Could be spirit guides, could be, sensitive, anything like that, and it will pop up the course that will be right for your soul.
And that was John's baby, yeah.
I keep thinking that everybody should be doing that 28-day of transformation during this time.
Great. Yes.
Because this means transformation. I mean, that's class I've recommended to everybody, and they all thrive on that.
Yeah. And now's the time to do it. We have so much time on our hands, and people are going deep. They really are.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's true. So, John, should we take a couple more, and then we'll get Shauna on?
You got it. So we're at 6:53 right now, so we're going to run out of time. We're going to go over. Is that fine with you?
A couple of minutes.
Yeah, we can go a little bit. Let's take one more call.
I want to make sure. All right, so here we go. Let's go to, let's go for area code 720-436 is on the line. I think this is Colorado. Can we have your name, please?
My name is Gina.
Hey, Gina.
Hi.
And
Hi.
Gina.
I just wanted to get a reading. I have all kinds of questions, but I don't have time for everything. So I thought, what can you tell me?
Gina, what's your birth date?
It just passed June 4th, 1971.
Oh, wow. That's a big one. I want to say this about that. There's a lot of things that are going to change for you this year. And one of the biggest things is I want you to start really seeing things clearly, really clearly. Okay. That means that means really pay attention, become awake and aware, because you have an ability to miss something. So I want you to pay attention. But you come in with a lot of success. You have to be really grounded in that body.
That's what I just picked up. You have to take time to ground yourself every day. You're a Gemini. You got to ground yourself. You're just in the head too much. You got to get back to the ground. And before Kelly said it, wrote transformation. That's a theme for you, definitely.
Yeah. It's a good one. All right.
Thanks, Gina.
Thanks for calling, Gina.
Yeah, we're going through these pretty quickly. We got Nashville, Tennessee on the line. Could we have your name, please? And your birth date?
2274.
2274. And your name, please?
Darcy.
Hi, Darcy. All right. And do you have a specific question for us?
Yes. I want to know, they had told me that I'm a very ancient soul, and I wanted to know more about that.
Well, I'll start with that one. You actually are an old soul. What I've discovered is that people are born the first maybe 15 days in January, really, really, really old souls that come back. And then again, about the first 7 or 8 days in February. And you've actually fit into that period of time. So you actually come in as an old soul, and also as somebody who needs to be really grounded with structure. Structure is really, really important here, and hard work is really important here. Does that make sense?
So does that mean that I have like ancient spirit guides or more than what I know from this life?
Well, James has a great course on that, actually, on connecting with your spirit guides. James, I think you're muted. James, did you mute yourself?
Sorry, John.
Okay.
Yeah, wisdom. Your soul's wisdom. That's what you're looking at. You look at your soul's wisdom. So it goes beyond this time, many lifetimes. But it's that wisdom of your soul that you got to tune into in life and the choices that you make in life. I want to ask you. I just got a really clear hit that you got to be careful in your love life. So I don't know if you have a background, or you meet someone and no commitment, got to move on. But there's something there you got to look at. Does it make sense at all?
Yeah.
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 Running away from them, and I can't commit, running away. And you got to be very careful, because one of those people going to say run away from might be the person. So just be careful. And thanks, John. What Kelly said, just pay attention, because it's going to come to you. And then later you'll say, "Oh, you told me this, and it happened." Right?
That's
Kelly?
a great book. Oh, it's exactly correct.
Book for you as well. So if you want to get in touch with your guides and find out which guides are working with you, check out Wisdom from Your Spirit Guides book. Okay.
Heck yeah. I'm all over it.
I love that.
All right, John, how about one more?
One
more.
All right. So give me a number from 1 to 10.
James, you go for it.
9.
All right. Number 9. All right. Here we go. So I think we're going to Wisconsin. Is that correct?
What are the odds?
Laura?
I gotta go.
Laura.
Hi, Laura. Can we have your birthday, please, and your specific question?
October 8th, 1972. And I'm kind of lost in my career path. I went back to school for religious studies about 7-8 years ago and worked in it. And then had an incident that happened at the church. So I stepped back and took a job at a school. And so now I'm a teacher. And I guess I'm struggling between my religious studies and getting into more of a spiritual life.
Yeah, let me just speak on that for a minute. So you come in with a little bit of black and or white situation. So this is the greatest time in your life, actually, to go into that spiritual place. And I want to say this, it's safe to do that, because in this birth placement is about being held up by dogma. Actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's a big one for this. So I've had this many situations with this one. So I would say allow yourself this time. Take that 28-day transformation class. It'd be amazing for you. And it's okay to let go of the old system.
Just
You
gonna
are
say
here to
that.
be in a new system. Sorry, James. Here, you take it from me. You take it now.
I was just going to say that it's time for a new change, because I see like a box and the top is opening up. You have to trust in yourself. Have faith in yourself. So religion is man-made. Spirit is natural. You're a spiritual being, and you don't need words from humans. The golden rule is great. Just follow the golden rule: love or fear, right? So you're a loving person. You don't need religion to hold on to. You don't need that. You're beyond that, believe it or not. You got to be honest with yourself and balanced in your life. You don't need religion to hold you up, honey. You really don't.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Okay. Thanks,
Wow.
Laura.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you for coming, Laura. All right. So let's
Wow,
get
that's
Shauna
amazing.
on and talk about this amazing. Look at Jason's holding it
My
right now.
ham hock.
Wait, James and I. Shauna!
Hi, Shauna.
Hi. Oh, you look
Me
so
too.
pretty. Shauna, this is
familiar.
James.
Hi, James.
Have I met you before? You look very familiar.
Yes, I was actually at your birthday when you're
Okay.
with Brett Warren.
Oh my gosh.
Warner.
Brett Warren.
Yes.
How is Brett? Do you know? Just keep it
I don't know.
Wow.
That's a touchy one.
That's a touchy one. He worked
It's
on my
okay.
Beyond show. Yeah, the Beyond show he worked on with me. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Wow. Yeah, you look familiar. I always remember face. This is
Yeah.
incredible, by the way.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad you like it.
Amazing.
We love
Thank
it.
you, Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you,
I like how you guys
Shauna.
are holding them up, shaking them.
And the vampire thing, if I ever need to, or wolf man.
It's like
Come to the house and need to.
It's awesome.
We're so
beautiful.
glad you're here, Shauna. We're so glad. I
Yes.
so am happy that you're
you.
going to be our sponsor, because your stuff is so great. And tell everybody about what you do. And
Yeah, so I'm a crystal metaphysical shop here in Burbank, California.
It's
If you're-
beautiful.
if you're in the area, we are open right now for.
Oh, good. I was going to ask you that because your
Yeah.
shop, the energy, the moment you step in is amazing. I love
Wow,
it
look
there.
at that. Wow.
Yeah, we are known for having a very light energy in the store.
Yeah.
You can tell. Mm.
Thank you. Yeah, so you're welcome to pop by. We're just doing shortened hours, like 12 to 5, Monday through Saturday. But we have jewelry, as you can see, all the metaphysical needs, you know.
And you're such a healer. You're such a healer, so it's perfect.
Yes.
And Shauna, how do people reach you that live in other places other than Los Angeles?
Yeah, so I am, during this time, I've had to definitely redo things, and we are shipping out. If you contact us through Facebook at the Crystal Shrine or Instagram, that's the best way. Leave me a message. I'm very quick on it. I get right back to you, and I get it mailed out immediately. So
I think one of the coolest things is that somebody can call you on FaceTime or however they do it, and you can show them what you have, and you can tell them what you're interested in, and that's how I picked this out for you, James. That was it.
Wow.
Even through Instagram, they have a camera, and it's all FaceTime, either through Facebook, Instagram, or even if they have iPhones, you can just.
Sean, I got to ask you a question because I need to know this. What are the points here?
Yeah.
Like now, what is this? It's for inspiration, right? It's the crown chakra, and what do I need to know about this? Anything else that I don't know?
Oh gosh,
That's
just
beautiful.
I know they're very high vibration. I definitely feel like they're as well for healers, and just hold a lot of energy and bringing that energy up, you know.
And higher consciousness, right? Higher consciousness.
Yes, higher consciousness.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's
It
beautiful.
looks like a wand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
where was it mined? Do you know where it was mined?
Those ones are from Brazil.
Brazil, of course. I bet
Which
crystal caves in Brazil. I know very well.
And you know, Praagh, our favorite healer in the whole world. Hi, Praagh. If you're watching in India, is from
Praagh.
Brazil.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah. And that's a new find. They're actually they've been mined. They just mined it this last year, so there's tons of it out. But I got a nice lot of them. So
wow.
we're
Great.
interested.
And I love your necklace. Don't think I didn't notice your necklace.
Really nice.
Thank you. That's my stone. I love
it. Fits your vibration perfectly.
It really does. I mean,
love it.
Yeah. Now,
And
do
my
you have a website where you can see the different things that you have, or?
We're working on that. We started it some time ago. It's a difficult process with stones and having, because we don't have a warehouse yet, but we are working on all of that. I'm very hopeful that it's going to be up and running ASAP.
Oh, good.
Good. Okay. Are there any stones you want to show us now?
Sure. Gosh, I have.
Oh, Kelly, why did you do that?
I know.
Let me get the pen and paper. Hold on.
Oh my God.
Gorgeous. This is pink amethyst. The pink's not showing up too phenomenal, but
beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pink amethyst, really good for the heart. It's really good for stress and anxiety as well, because it has lepidolite is what gives it that pink color.
It looks like a heart shape inside.
Oh my gosh.
Beautiful.
That's
Wow.
gorgeous,
Beautiful.
Shauna.
And we have this awesome guy, this labradorite.
Oh my God. Oh, Shauna, I might have to buy that.
He's pretty special.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That is
Incredible.
beautiful.
And we carry a lot of the aura stuff too. So this is an aura quartz, angel aura quartz.
I love that.
Tell me about that. I don't know about that.
So aura patches up any blockage or holes in the aura. It's
Okay.
connection to the angels,
Gotcha.
communication. You don't have a problem with that. But it's really, I'm finding a lot of people are being drawn to the auras right now. So and that's how it works like that. I see, patterns. Everybody will be on to tourmaline, and then right now it's the auras. So I wanted to show that for sure.
If someone comes to your store and they go, I don't know what stone to get.
I'm happy to help.
You're happy to help them.
Yeah, I get hits as well. So it's like walk through and I just see what pops out, and I think 9 times out of 10 spot on. So it's a good thing.
You're a healer.
And lots of coral beans. So.
Oh, good.
Oh, I love that. Can you hold that up again?
Isn't that pretty? This is flower agate. I sent Kelly a flower agate.
I love that.
Beautiful. Really beautiful.
And I love the shape, and I have a lot of the different smaller angels, but I love that shape.
Beautiful.
Wow. really gorgeous.
Aw, thank you guys.
Oh, Shauna, so you'll be on every week, I think, showing us new crystals.
Yeah, definitely.
And everything's for sale.
Everything's for sale, definitely.
That's wonderful.
And I do a lot of times I do if it's over 50, sometimes I'll discount shipping, most times. If it's not too heavy, obviously. But I like to give back. These are hard times right now, so I'm trying to give where I can.
And the stone will always find its owner, proper owner. I know that. It'll always find its proper owner.
That's true, James.
That's true, Cal.
There you go.
Great.
Thank you so much, Shauna.
Yeah.
We really appreciate
Thank
you
you
coming on.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Shauna.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you
Beautiful
so
energy.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Shauna.
Bye.
Thank you. Oh, her stuff is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's great.
Gorgeous.
Wow.
That's great.
Wow.
Well, James,
you can
thank you
just feel
so
it.
much.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
ladies. Thank you very much, Kelly,
Yes,
Shirley, and
you
John.
are-
Thank
Oh my
you.
gosh.
Appreciate
Best
it.
of the best. Thank
And
you
we have a
so
couple
much.
more announcements really
Oh,
quick.
yeah.
So we've got the Archetypes live event that's coming
Yay.
up.
Oh, that's great.
So
This is going to be great because tonight there were some victim archetypes and different kind of archetypes that Shirley and I, psychological and spiritual, that we're going to work with.
Great.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's going to be a great event.
Yeah. Which one you identify with, or which one did you create as a child, as a
Right.
survival skill, and which one do you want to be?
And how do
Wow,
you move
wow.
through it? Yeah.
So this will be a 90-minute webinar. This will be on Thursday, July 16th, 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. And this is going to be through Zoom. So go ahead and go to Both Sides Now TV and get registered for that. And we also have another one that's coming up all about bad mothers. Am I my mother?
That's right.
It's
Because
so true.
James, my practice was built on bad mothers.
So was
It's so
mine.
true. Wow. That's great, you girls. Great.
Well, it leaves such a profound wound, but you don't have to live with that wound.
That's
You
right.
can
Right.
feel it. Yeah.
It's not your stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
It happened to you, but you don't have to carry it. Yeah.
That's right. That's so right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. What a great workshop that'll be.
Yeah. So we're excited. Thank you,
We
John.
are.
Sure
Thank you very
thing.
much.
Go to bothsidesnowtv.com and you guys can register for that. And then also check out James's school. That's JVP School of Mystical Arts.com. Get registered for Mediumship 2. And then what's coming soon, James, is your pet communication course next
In
month.
July, yes,
Oh,
3 nights.
wow.
Yeah, webcast 3 nights and talk about spirit animals and how to
Right.
telepathically talk to your animal that's living. And then there's one more thing with animals. I've been doing readings with animals too.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Wow.
It'll be interesting. It's always interesting. You never know what's going to happen, but it'll be interesting.
I remember in that class that I tagged along it, I actually channeled an animal. Remember, you did the speed reading instead of
Yes.
speed dating. You
That's right.
gave us through a meditation, and you said, just say whatever comes up to your mind with whoever's in front of you. And the first thing that popped in was this little dog that kept licking a small little dog. And I felt embarrassed. And you just kept saying, just say what's in your mind. Don't
Right.
edit it. And I said, okay, I see a little white dog licking you. You called her the licker because she licked you so much. And she said her dog had passed a month ago. And it was small and white, and it used to always be on her lap licking her face.
Oh, wow.
I was like,
There you
whoa.
go.
That was amazing. I remember
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah.
You got it.
Wow.
So how wonderful. I mean, those messages are also so healing.
Yeah, so healing. And in some ways, easier than you think, 'cause they just come in.
I think it's because they just come in so purely.
Yeah, you
I
don't
mean,
have to
what
think
you
about
see is
it.
what you get with animals. And people sometimes say, well, I know it's just a dog. It's a mammal. You bond to mammals in the same exact way you bond to humans. So
I
of
find
course
animals a
you're
lot easier to bring through than humans, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah, I bet. I
Yeah,
bet. There's no
unconditional
hidden
love.
agenda there.
Exactly right. But they do have personalities, but no hidden agenda.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. And the
So
last reminder is if you haven't joined our Facebook group, our support group, please go to Both Sides Now TV, the page, and then click on join our support group. And we'll get you in there. And we're going to be having a little after party after this event as well. So you can get to know one another, FaceTime, put the name to the face. And yeah. So we're looking forward to having you there. And I want to also mention that we've got several events coming up. Just keep tuned to the page for that information, and we will see you next week. Actually, Kelly's going to be here on Thursday for the spiritual checking. And Kelly, what are we going to do for Thursday?
We're doing another numerology, but we're going to be doing numerology with your full names, first, middle, and last name. So we'll have a chart up, and everybody will be able to figure it out. I'll help you through it, and then we'll tell you what it all means.
So quite a bit. If you enjoyed this, please like us. We'll love to have you join our group.
I wish I had some exciting things going on. I'm going to go trim my beard. That's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to trim my beard.
We can't talk about it until they're finalized.
No, we can.
Yeah. You got a lot.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. Thanks, ladies.
Take care,
Thank you, James.
Bye.
Thank you, and thank you for watching.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo Dr. Shirley and Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world.